be funny. I never claimed to be a comedian. I don't know what I claim. Anyway, so remember, on that is my best giving on December 13th in the morning service. So be here for that also. Now, I sent out a text, and so I'm going to remind everybody also. Our attendance has been down a little bit. There's reasons that people are not attending. But also remember that the church continues to need financial support. Every month, whether we want it to or not, Richard wants a retirement check, so we have to pay Tico so that he gets a retirement check. So we have to make sure that we pay Tico, not just for his retirement check. Yeah, Punk wants a retirement check. So that's two people that want retirement checks. And we have another guy that just wants a paycheck from Tico. So we've got to keep Tico happy. And then we have Spectrum that likes to ask us for money. And there's a lot of people that want money from the church. So just remember to continue to be financially supportive of the church. Again, y'all have been amazing. I will share again what has occurred from, especially during the time of the shutdown, the way that this church has financially stepped up. For those that count the money, Miss Kathy that keeps up with our books, and then the information that's shared with me, it's mind-boggling what this church has done as far as financially supporting the church and financially supporting the work of God. So y'all are amazing. Just every once in a while we need reminders, self-included. So with that, we are going to turn it over to Miss April, and then we will come back and do our evening time of prayer. Miss April?
Good evening, everyone. All right, we are going to sing, "O Come, All Ye Faithful." O come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. O come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Sing, choirs of angels, sing in exaltation. Sing, all ye citizens of heaven above. Glory to God, glory in the highest. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Yea, Lord, we greet thee, born this happy morning. Jesus, to thee be all glory given. Word of the Father, now in flesh appear. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. All right, and we're going to get in that Christmas spirit still. Hark the herald angels sing. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Christ by highest heaven adored, Christ the everlasting Lord. Late in time, behold him come, offspring of a virgin's womb. Veiled in flesh the Godhead see, hail the incarnate deity. Pleased as man with man to dwell, Jesus our Emmanuel. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Hail the heaven-born Prince of Peace, hail the Son of Righteousness. To all he brings, risen with the healing's wings. Mild he lays his glory by, born that man no more may die. Born to raise the sons of earth, born to give them second birth. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King.
Thank you, Miss April. Well, again, I'm glad that all of y'all are here with us this evening, and we're going to go into a time of prayer. I was watching the feed a little bit, and there's some people saying that you're having issues with sound. So I've listened on my phone. We actually have good sound that's going out. Other people are telling me that they have good sound on their devices here in the building, so I don't know what that can be. It just could be an internet issue. So. But I'm glad that you are here in the house tonight, and we're going to go and have into a time of prayer. There's a lot that's going on, as y'all know. We have members of the church that they have recently lost loved ones. Continue to pray for them with that. We have people that have recently been in the hospital. They've gone back home. They're feeling better. They're still going through the recovery process. So be in prayer for them about that. And I'm certain that if I was to ask, there are many unspokens that are around the room. There's a lot that's going on, especially as we enter into this time of year. This time of year can bring a lot of challenges to people as is. But then whenever you add in the other stuff that's coming along with this package too. So just again, be in prayer for all of these things. Be in prayer specifically for Brother Mark also. He is going to be having some procedures done next week, and that procedure has to be done in order to have something else done. And he decided to hurt his back in the midst of all of it. So be in prayer for him, just for healing. No, it wasn't. I can tell you it was not here. He just, he's online, so I'm just going to say it. He just needs to learn how to step out of his truck without getting hurt. I love you, Mark. So I'll wait for that comment or that phone call or that text a little bit later. But he got out of his truck twisted wrong, and he's been having a lot of issues with his back since then. So just be in prayer for him also. So we will do our normal open prayer. So I will get someone to start, And then whoever wants to pray out loud, feel free to do that. For those that are at home, this is a time for prayer. Also, you should have music that'll be playing as we go into this time of prayer. And then we'll come back as I'm closing out the prayer. So, Ernest, would you open us in prayer? Tonight, as we are going to continue our Wednesday study, we've kind of jumped into a location of, are you ready? Are you ready? And we've kind of been there for a little bit, and we've asked a few different questions and a few different thoughts on what it means to be ready. And I'm going to continue to ask that. Are you ready? Now, some of y'all may be looking at me wondering, am I ready for what? Exactly. Because I don't know what the what is. But what we need to know is, are we ready for whatever it may be? And I'm using a lot of watch right now. I just realized that. Maybe that means there'll be a lot of power in it. I know I'm not a comedian. So, are you ready? The question also comes is, in order to be ready, you have to be balanced. You have to be balanced in order to be ready. So, I'm not going to do it, but what if I had somebody come up here and I said, until I get done sharing tonight, I want you to stand beside me on one foot. You're ready. How long do you think that the balance would be there? Let's find out. How long will that balance be there? And with the balance, it begins, it depends on who it is. And I'm not even going to touch any of that. But in order to be ready for things, we have to be balanced. We have to be looking to where we need to go. We need to be looking at what we should be doing. So tonight, as we're going to be in Luke chapter 10, and we're going to be starting in verse 38 and going through verse 42. And we're going to be looking at two ladies about, are they ready and are they balanced? So tonight, as we are in Luke chapter 10, starting in verse 38, and it says, "Now it happened as they went that he entered a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, who also sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word. But Martha was distracted with much serving, and she approached him and said, 'Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Therefore tell her to help me.' And Jesus answered and said to her, 'Martha, Martha, you are worried and troubled about many things, but one thing is needed. And Mary has chosen that good part, which will not be taken away from her.'" Are you balanced? Are you balanced in what you are ready for? We're going to start out by asking another simple question of, are you Mary or are you Martha? Are you Mary or are you Martha? Now let's look at these two women just for a moment, because first we see that Mary was at the feet of Jesus. Why? She wanted to hear every spoken word that he had to say. She wanted to hear everything that Jesus had to say. She wanted to be close to him. She wanted to be drawn into him. She wanted to be balanced through what he had to give. Or are you Martha? Because Martha was distracted and more concerned with serving him than learning from him. How many of you, for those that have been in the church for a really long time and have been maybe in positions of volunteering or positions of service, do you realize that we can be busy doing church work? We can be busy doing church work while at the same time not be doing God's work. Because we're busy about, okay, well, we've got to do all of this. We've got all these moving parts. But we're not concerned about, is what I'm doing helping share Christ? Is what I'm doing helping to share Christ? As many of you know, Brother John Campbell and I and Punk have been working, 8 months now with a consultant on different things about the church. The deacons are aware of it, and we share updates with the deacons as updates are needed. But one of the things that this consultant recommended is that I read a book. And then I recommended that Punk read this book. John has already read the book. And it's called Simple Church. I started reading it quite a while back, and I think I purposely lost it. I hid it from myself because it's a very challenging book. And what it boils down to is the church trying to do too much? Is the church trying to do too much? And as y'all know, these are words that I said that we're not allowed to say in this church anymore, but I'm going to say them anyway. Are we doing what we've always done just because? Are we doing what we've always done just because? And that's what I think that's what Martha was doing. Martha was probably always the one that was in the kitchen and cooking. How many of you have people in your family like that? We saw a picture today that one of Kay's cousins posted, and it was her grandmother Yancey and her cousin, which, if you know Kay's family, from Kay to her cousin to Brandy to Ava. If you take pictures of them all in about the same age grouping, as I told Kay, the genes run really, really deep in that family. And so the girl that she was showing was actually the cousin, but it looks just like Ava, my granddaughter. It's crazy. But I say all that to say the lady that she had the picture with was Grandma Yancey. And Grandma Yancey loved to cook. And whenever you would go to her house, you would find her in the kitchen. She loved to cook. That's how she served, was cooking. Do you have people like that they just love to be in the kitchen? They love cooking. But whenever they're in there doing that, what are they missing out on? Martha was missing out on Christ. Why? Because she was busy doing for him instead of busy with him. Yes. Absolutely, you're allowed to ask questions. I won't guarantee good answers. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Right. Yes. Yes. Right. And I haven't heard of those two being compared, but it could be. It could be, because what you're talking about is the Pharisee that goes into the temple, and he is proud of himself. He knows, I am just it. I'm the poster child of what it's supposed to be of following God. If you're not acting like me, you're not following God. And then the second person is the tax collector that knows I'm a sinner. I'm doing things wrong. And he doesn't even approach the front. He stays not only at the back, but he actually with his back facing the front. and pounding on his chest. I've not heard of a compare that they would be tandem, but I could see where that correlation may come in. This one is where Martha is trying to just do, and Mary's just sitting back and listening. Mary's just sitting back and listening. So that would be an interesting to see where those two kind of run in tandem. But Martha she's just busy. Yes. 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 And you're probably right. She made a choice that this is how I'm going to serve. Maybe she wants to be there to listen, but these things need to get done. They need to get done. I'm going to pick on Miss Lola. I've been picking on Miss Lola a lot lately, so I'm going to do it one more time. Miss Lola has taken over the role of our Sunday school records in the morning. And I'm sure that she would rather be sitting in a Sunday school class and learning and in that aspect. But she also knows that this needs to be done. And so she chose to do that. And whenever there are things that we may choose that may pull us away. There is a grouping here of 4 people plus assistants that have made the choice to do children's church. Well, for 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, depending on the month, they're not in the chapel. They're in there. And they're away from the learning in here. But that is something that also needs to be done. But we see we must serve him with our works. There are things that have to be done. There are things that we need to do. But if we leave out worshiping him, we are missing the bigger picture. I think that, yes, Martha made that choice because it needed to be done. But at the same time, she didn't catch what her sister was doing, because I think that her sister was doing more than just listening. I think she was worshiping. She was worshiping him. She may not have been listening to him at all. She may have just been there in an act of worship and not even really paying attention, just absorbing who he is and that she could be in his presence. How often do you do that? When you come to church on Sunday morning, and you come into the chapel after Sunday school and everything, and you come into the chapel, how are you coming? What are you coming prepared for? Are you coming prepared to say hi to people that you haven't seen over the last 6 days? Are you coming prepared to just check the box? I went to church. I'm good. For the next 6 days, I'm good. Or are you coming to church with a mindset of I'm coming to worship? I'm coming to worship. And if we come in with that mindset of I'm coming to worship, how does that prepare your mind for everything that's going to occur? But if you're coming to church just, well, I need to make people happy, so I need to show up. I'm the preacher, I guess I need to be there. If you're coming with that mindset, are you coming prepared to worship? But what if we came prepared to worship? The next question I want to ask you is this, and I know some of y'all aren't going to like this question, but I'm going to ask anyway. Are you a complainer? Are you a complainer? Guilty. What do you mean, am I a complainer? Well, let's look at it this way. I come into the room, and I hear the kids, so I'm going to use the kids as an example. Pastor, I came in, and those kids were just going back crazy up in Jesus' house. They should have just been sitting there. Now, I've been told this before. I was told this. And I looked at the person that told me this. I said, but all they're doing is what they see me do. They see me run through the chapel. And all they're doing is repeating what I'm doing. Oh. I understand the importance of the sanctuary. I understand the importance of what occurs in this room. But what if something happened in this room? We lost power in this room. And it was going to take us months to get the power fixed in this room. And so during those months, we have to move into the social hall to do church. Does that mean we can't have church? No. So it's not about the room. It's about the intent. It's about the intent. Now, I do not want to see the kids hanging from a chandelier. I do not want to see any of y'all hanging from a chandelier. I will pull them off of the podium area. But at the same time, how many of you like to hear what we're hearing? For those that are on the live stream, you can't hear, but how many of you want to hear what we're hearing outside these windows right now? For a church to be a growing church, do you know one of the things that it requires? Children. Children. Why? Because children typically bring the adults. Why am I standing in front of you tonight? Because of a 13-year-old that wanted to go to church camp. We didn't go to church, but she wanted to go to church camp. And because of that, I'm standing in front of you today. Kids are what is going to grow the church. But are you a complainer? Are you a complainer? Do you, even if you're not an intentional complainer, there's always the accidental complainer too. Huh? You clarify, you don't complain. I like that. I like that. You don't like the question. I didn't think people were going to like the question. She is complaining about the question, exactly. Yes, Judy. Yes. 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 Exactly. Yep. And they will not depart, exactly. Oh, I baptized a bunch of these kids. Let's say I baptized Lexi. I baptized Julia, Davion, Marshall, or I haven't I did, yes, Marshall, Lily, Hannah, Jacob. Not Hannah, I did Jacob. Zachary. I mean, these are all the kids that we've baptized. Yes. And whenever I first came here, and we're gonna run a rabbit trail and then we'll come right back. I promise, maybe. Whenever I first came here, we did VBS like this church has never done VBS before. And I actually had someone make a comment to me because we prepared probably a week in advance. The sanctuary was all decked out for VBS. I believe it was submerged, so there were submarines and there were fish. It was crazy. It was crazy what was in here. And I actually had a member of the church ask me, when is all of that junk going to get taken down so we can start worshiping God? And I told him as soon as the kids get through worshiping God, we'll take it all down. But not before. I left it up one extra Sunday on purpose, by the way. It's about the fact of what have we turned this room into? Have we turned it into an idol? But going back to where we're supposed to be, are you a complainer? Martha goes to Jesus and asks this very strong question and makes a request. She has this very strong question, and then she makes a request. Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Does that line sound familiar? How about if we go back to the story with Elijah? Lord, I am all alone. I am the last of your prophets, and they, which was actually a one person, seek to take my life. And God tells him, oh, by the way, you ain't all that in a bag of chips, Elijah, because I have people that you don't even know about that are serving me. She went and she wanted to know that. Do you not care that my sister has left me alone? What a question. What a question. But maybe you've asked similar questions. Maybe you've asked similar questions of God. Why did this happen to me? Why did you leave my side when I really needed you, God? Am I the only one in this church that does anything? And the list could go on and on and on. But then she says this, therefore, tell her to help me. Now, whenever I read that the very first time, I was like, wow, that's gutsy. Here, she's going to the Messiah and saying, you don't care about me. Tell her to get up. Yes. Yep, she didn't know it may not even have realized it, of who he is. Martha, just in a way, wanted Jesus to say, she wanted Jesus to tell Mary, I am not important, go help Martha. She has more important things for you to do than I. That's what it boiled down to. That's what it boiled down to. But don't we do that? Don't we complain because it feels like we are doing everything? Yes, I do. I'm not the only one. Because we get so wrapped up in our focus, what we need to accomplish, that we think that there's no one else that wants to be a part of it. That there's no one else that wants to be a part of it. Don't we complain because we are feeling like doing everything? The question now becomes, have we lost our focus? Have we lost our focus? Remember that if you lose your focus on Jesus and the focus of your worship of Him, you are like a truck stuck in sugar sand. We've talked about sugar sand. If you are from Florida, you know exactly what sugar sand is. And some of the gentlemen here, maybe some of the ladies, have gotten stuck in sugar sand. And if you do not know what sugar sand is, ask after the service and we will share. But sugar sand, whenever you get stuck in sugar sand, you just spin your tires. And the more that your tires spin, the deeper and deeper you get to where you're not able to move at all. Think about this. How many of you have gone through a season to where you're like, I just don't think that God really cares about me anymore. I'm going to keep going through the motions, but I just don't think that He cares. Because everything is falling apart around me. Have you gone through a time like that? And the more that you allow that to seat into your head, the deeper and deeper and further away from Him you get. Until the day that He wakes you up. And you realize, wow, I turned away from Him. He never left me. I turned. I got stuck in my mess. But He never left me. He was all, figuratively, an arm's reach away. While I was in sugar sand up to my chest, not able to breathe, not knowing how I was going to get out of it, all I had to do was reach. And He would lift me straight up. He would lift me straight up. But what I find interesting is that how Jesus responds to Martha. How Jesus responds to Martha. And I wonder if we respond the way that He did. Because Jesus is gentle in His response while getting to the point. How often, when somebody comes to us and complains, are we gentle with our response? We'd like to be gentle with our response, but how often are we gentle with our response when someone comes to complain? Jesus gets to the point. Martha, Martha, you are worried and troubled about many things. We could all put our name there. Being she did it, I'm going to put her name in there. April, April. You are worried and troubled about many things. Martha had lost focus of what is important. Martha had lost focus of what is important. Have you lost focus? Have you lost focus of what is important? Martha was busy preparing something that Jesus was not in need of. Think about it. She was preparing a meal. Now, did Jesus eat? Yes, I think He did. Because He broke bread with people. But did He need it? What does Jesus need from us? Really nothing. But what does He really want from us? Worship. Now, some people may say, well, that just makes Him arrogant. That makes Him just, who does He think He is? The creator of the world. That's who He thinks He is. Because that's who He is. We'll worship lesser things. Martha was busy preparing something that Jesus was not in need of. Are you doing the same thing? Are you preparing something that you think is for Jesus, but He really doesn't need it? He doesn't really need it. What Jesus needs from us is our faithfulness and our worship. Our faithfulness and our worship. He doesn't need our excuses. Now, everybody sitting here, I know you've made an excuse as to why you don't come to church. And if I see that you've missed a few Sundays, I will ask you, give me your best one. And I'm talking about your best excuse. But what if, come into Tim's world just for a moment. What if, when you stand before Him, He looks at you and say, okay, give me your best excuse as to why you didn't serve me. Give me your best excuse. Well, Jesus, you know, I had gotten that new job, and they really worked me hard, like 6 days a week, and you know, Sunday was my only day for my family. I think that Jesus would make a comment of, hey, do you remember the story whenever they came and said, hey, your mother and brothers are here, and I asked the question of, who's my mother and brother? That's not to say that family's not important. but he was putting the priority that God was important. Yes, bring the family, exactly. It's an hour and a half, just in case I go over. Give myself a buffer. We'll spend longer than that at lunch after church. I honestly, and I'm meaning that this is funny, I've actually had people here tell me, Pastor, you went over today by 10 minutes. I'm like, I'm sorry. So I preached 40 minutes. And I sit here and I watch them spend an hour in the parking lot talking to each other. Which I'm glad. I'm excited about that. I'm not complaining about that. But it's like, you stood out there for an hour and you're telling me I went 10 minutes over? It falls down to, what do we want? What do we want? Prioritize. Exactly. Yes. Yes. Yes, we do. We do live in a, and I'm looking at the clock as we're talking about that. I like watches, though. I don't use them, but I like them. I wear them. Yes. Exactly. Mary stayed focused on what was. Mary stayed focused on him and was blessed. Jesus will not tell someone to leave his side for busy work. Jesus will not tell someone to leave his side for busy work. Have you tried to remove someone's blessings because they were not serving Jesus the way you thought was the right way, or maybe the only way? Have you maybe removed someone's blessing because you tried to convince them that the way that they're worshiping is not the right way to worship? My question is, what is the right way to worship? What is right? The Bible really doesn't give us a right way to worship. It doesn't give us a set, it has to be like this way to worship. It just says worship. It just says worship. We have the privilege to worship the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. My last thing as I close is this. Where are you focusing? Are you focusing on worship, or are you focusing on work? Dr. Warren Wiersbe says this: the most part of the Christian life is the part that only God sees. What does God see in you? What does God see in you? Dear Lord, we just thank you for this evening and this opportunity to be in your house. Father, I just ask that you'll be with each one of us, that you'll lead, guide, direct, and Father, that you'll open our hearts up. And Father, that we'll just ask that question, are we ready, but are we balanced? Father, are we balanced in what we need to do for you with how we are worshiping you? Father, that we would worship you more than our busy work for you. Father, I just pray that we would just ask you, how can we worship you better? And Father, not only how can we worship you better, but Lord, that we would worship you better. Father, I just pray for your leadership and your guidance. Father, you're amazing. We love you. We praise you. And we do worship you. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank y'all. See you Sunday.